Okay, we're in Perek Azov. We are on Daf Teis Daf is Nun Aleph. We're holding at the bottom of Nun on the base. The Mishnah said that there is a statute of limitations of Loikeach going ahead and finding out whether he was cheated or not. It's the time he could show it to a merchant or a family member. Okay, what about the Moicher? Is the same thing or not? Right, the same thing or not? So now we have Amar of Nachman. I must say mutal hachzir. So Amar of Nachman loishanu this shear of kadeshi or the tager or the krayvay el loikeach. That's referring to loikeach. Aval Moicher la'olam chayzer. The Moicher can go ahead and if he was cheated, he can be chayzer even forever. So again, he doesn't have a statute of limitations. Name a Messiah. Let's see, I'll bring a riot to him. That the Tagri Lud, when they heard that Rabbi Rav Tarfon said you have a whole day to go ahead and have charata. If you're tell me the Meichel can go ahead and be chayzer la'olam, mishum hachi chazru. That's why what they had charata. Rashi says shehem hayu meichrim they had no. They always could go ahead and change their minds, so they had nothing to gain by Rev saying you can change your mind. They had nothing to gain. It says Rashi, in other words, Rav Nachman's being a riot to his point. If you're telling me that the Meichel can always be chayzer, Memela, that would explain why they changed their minds. In other words, they could be chayzer la'olam before Rav Tarfon saying anything, and they can be chayzer la'olam after Rav Tarfon saying anything. So the chayzer la'olam of Rav Tarfon didn't go ahead in any way. He changed the status of the moicher. Whose status did it change? The loikeach. Oh, you changed the statute of limits of the loikeach from the shortest man of kadesh yirah letager lekroivay to kol hayoim. Therefore, I'm changing my mind. It's a very nice diak, fellas. Shemachi chasu. If you're going to tell me what the moich is like a loikeach, and he's limited to the share of kadesh yirah letager lekroivay, my nafla mina. What's the difference? Okay, so it's the same takana. The same takana that Rav Tarfon made was what? The Rabbanan that they made a takana for lekeach that he has a shared period of time. So they also have the same period of time. So what would they have gained over there? Right. In other words, if it's the same zman and marchiv that's time of lekeach, then the Meichel also has that. So what did they gain? It must be that so when he said Kol Hayoim, must be that they didn't get anything. That they said you have the whole day, right? The whole day. And Nimsavat, the takana also of Lud, they also would gain. Guys, if Lud was if not like Rav Nachman and the Tagri Lud also only had the shortest man of Kadesh Sheyir Tager. So now by going the whole day, just like the Keach is going to gain, they has the chance the whole day. The Tagri Lud is also going to gain. But if the Tagri Lud always can go ahead and change their mind all day, then they gain nothing. So if they guys watch, if they're over here the same share, so therefore what? The same share. So he's the whole day. He's the whole day. There's no change. So why would the Tagri Lud change their mind? If the Tagri Lud can go ahead and change the whole day, but they can change what? Only till here. And now you're elevating them till there. So now the Tagri Lud are not gaining. And therefore, it would explain. So that'll be a good raya to Rav Nachman. It says the Gemara, you have no raya. Tagri Lud, they're experts. They're not going to make a mistake. They're not going to make a mistake. So any change to them would be a problem. So you have no raya to Rav Nachman. Says the Gemara. Ushbezichne the Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama was staying in an inn, and Ushbezichna Zovin Chamra. He sold wine and he undersold it. V'tah, and he undersold it. And Rami Bar Chama found that he was sad. He found that he was sad. Amalei amayatzivis. He asked him, why are you sad? Amalei savina chamra v'toy. I sold wine and I made a mistake and I undersold. So Amalei, so said Rabbi Mercham Zil Hadabach, go change your mind. Go change your mind. So Amalei told him, it's past the statute of limitations. I only found out after this man of showing it out to a relative. So Shadli Kamed Rav Nachman, they sent Rabbi Mercham sent the Raya, the Kash to Rav Nachman. Amalei, Rav Nachman said the following: Lo Shanu, his share of showing it to a relative or a merchant, El Lekeach, the one who bought it. Aval Meicher, but the one who sold it, Lo'ilam Chayse, he could always have Charata. My time, what's the reason? But look, Lekeach Mecher Biyadai. The Lekeach has the goods in his hands. Kol Hecha de Azul, every place he goes, Machbile, he could show it. So it's very easy to ascertain exactly what it's worth because it's available. People will say that you made a mistake, you did. The Meicher who sold it and can only surmise that perhaps he was cheated by underselling, right? Maybe he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it there. So what would the only way he be that he could possibly ascertain that? He'd have to find something comparable. So in this case, he'd have to find similar wine to the one he sold. Then you could say, oh, by the way, that's the type of wine I sold, and therefore that's exactly mine, and therefore now that could take a long period of time to find the exact same goods. The Lekeach has the goods in his hands. Lekeach has the goods in his hands, so he can go ahead. It's available to show, and therefore we give him a statute of limitations until Kadeshi roll a tago l'krayvay. Mashen came the Meicher la'olam. He could always have it. So Rav Nachman is going ahead and helping the Ushbezichte of Rami Bar Choma and saying you can change your mind. You can change your mind. It's past the statute of limitations. That statute of limitations was given to the person who purchased the wine from you, but you, the seller of the wine, since you don't have the wine and you don't have similar wine to go ahead and compare it to, you're Meicher la'olam. That you can chayz la'olam. That's the psak of Rava. Ita v'loita. Hu gavra davi naked. Okay, there was a person, he was selling, Rashi says he was selling silk strands. He was selling silk strands of strands. I think Rabbi Chanel said he was selling margolius. He was selling pearls. He was selling pearls.
Says bindelish.
What?
That bindelish. That's ribbons, isn't it?
Yeah,
bindles.
I said Rashi said silk strings. Then I say that.
Oh. Yeah, so that's like ribbons. Yeah, silk string. I couldn't correlate to ribbons.
Benji, you want to take over? Anyway, so
I'm muting Benji.
I'm working my hardest.
I wish I was muting you. Anyway, so the he says Margoli, he says the pearls. Anyway, so he's selling these silk ribbons, bindlers, and Kari Shisa Vishavi Chamisha. He called out 6, and its value was 5. So just to go over yesterday's daf, this would be 1/5 according to Rav. According to Shmuel, be 1/6, right? That's yesterday's daf. Good. So according to Shmuel, you have a din of Vaina over here. According to Shmuel, you have a din of Vaina. Now, however, V'yaviyavle Chamisha Upalga, if you would have given him 5.5, Avishakli would have taken it. In other words, if this was, he sold 6 of 5, and then of a 6th. So if you would have given 5.5, that already is pachas mishtus, and the deal would have been what? Off. Guys, good? You know, he would have gone ahead. The deal off means it's on. The deal is on. Yeah, meaning yeah, no bittul mekach, right? There's mechila. Okay, so this is just going. I just pointing out it's going according to Shmuel that we go after the amount paid rather than the value of the object itself. Very good. I think I was very geschmack yesterday. Asu Gavra came this individual. The Omar palga. This guy's a lamdin. He said the following: if I give him 5.5, having mechila, then what happens? I'm losing a half. I got a better idea. Etin la shisa, I'll give him 6. And that is what? That's the share of Ainah. Vedvoy ladina, and I'll go ahead and bring him to din. What's the din then? I get the object, and I'll get back the full zuz. Guys, you hear? Guys, yesterday's stuff, A, B, and C, right? A is pachas mishtus, B is shtus. So A pachas mishtus, we said, is mechila. B is oina, and we said that according to the Brisa of Reb Nassim, not like a Mishnah, which is either or, the deal is on and you get it back. So this guy's a lamdin. He says the following: if I give him 5.5, that's going to be what? Level A. The din of level A, it's mechila, and I was mechila half a zuz. If I give him 6 instead of 5.5, then I was cheated out of a full zuz, and then I'd be able to be toveya. I'll get the objects, plus I'll be marviach another half a zuz. Now, it doesn't seem there's a problem with this, guys. It doesn't seem there's a problem with this. So, also kamei the Rav, they came in front of Rav, amalei, leishanu elo b'keach. Listen to this. The din of Ainah is only said by a lekeach minat tagar, from a seller. Amal lekeach mibal abayis, ein lo yalav Ainah. If you buy from a balabayas, there's no din of Ainah. If you buy from a balabayas who normally doesn't sell something, there's no din of Ainah. A merchant, guys, it seems the following, because we'll see in the Gemara. If you have merchandise, you don't sell it, because merchandise is a davar shem mekayama. It lasts, it's there. If you have cash, what happens? We all know, it just goes. So a person's not going to sell something unless he really has to sell it. He really has to sell it. It's very dear to him. So says Rashi, there's a halacha that if you would tell a person, I'm selling you this, almanah, on the condition that there's no Ainah, there's no Ainah. We'll see the Gemara Vaita. So therefore, since this person is forced to sell it, we'll view it with those guidelines. Let's see Rashi inside. It said very nicely. Balabayas, if you go ahead and you buy from a balabayas, Hachshitin, the kli tashmish shaloi chaviv malav, and the kalim that he uses are very dear to him. He's going to sell it for more than it's worth, because again, they're very precious to him. It's like Mephirus, if he would say, I know I'm overcharging you. There's no din of Ainah. So that's what I found the Shiltas Rabbi Chai. So you want to know this person who went ahead and said, I'm selling this for, he overcharged you a 1/6, right? And you want to pay the 6 and get back to Ainah, says Rava, you're not going to get back to Ainah. Why? Because he's allowed to overcharge. Because since that's not his business. He normally doesn't sell something. And if he's selling something, he knows he's overselling it. He's not an honest. If someone knows he's overselling it and you're buying it, there's no Ainah. That's the lumdus over here in Rashi. A similar case. Who gavrid having naked kipi the zvune. He had earrings to sell. Kari shisim v'shavi chamishi. He called out 6, and it's only worth 5. So again, according to Shita Shmuel, it's a 6th. V'havi yavle chamisha v'chamisha. If you give him 5.5, you give him 5.5. Havi shakel. Right. In other words, I think I'm calling out the wrong numbers. It was worth 60, right? It was worth 60, and he sold it for. It was worth 50, and he sold it for 60. The Havi Yavle Chamisha v'chamisha would give you 55. I'm sorry, it would give you 55. Havi shakel. Asu gavra v'amar iyavnu chamir v'chamishin. If I give him 55, havi mechila, because again it's less than a 1/6. Etin l'chashisin, I'll go ahead and give him full 60. But voy l'din, I'll go make a claim in court. The same halacha that Rav Paskin, Rav Chisda, his father-in-law also Paskin the same way. Omer Rav Dimi says Rav Dimi, Yishar, correct. Yishar, Yashar, no, it's correct. Pino Rav Elazar, Yishar. That's Yishar means Yashar. It's the right psak. Fred Gemara, you're telling me that there's no Ainah by a balabas. Vanan tanan kishem shoyno lehedye kachoyno letager. Malahedye la balabas. So you see, there is a din of a balabas, and this is the next Mishnah we're going to see in a second. Rav Chisda, that's speaking b'ditzar Raisa. So the Raisa seems to be, Rashi says, begotten made out of cannabis or hemp or canvas. Right? You know, I mean, like Cannabis probably comes from the word, Dr. Press, canvas. Probably comes from the word of canvas, kufnan bais. It reads like the Latin is cannabis, but I'm not sure if this is if it's that seems to be a plant. This seems to be something that I don't think you can make a mattress or a bag out of marijuana, but I know canvas you could. Baruch, you let me know. Okay, anyway, so it seems to be that this canvas that there's a din of aina because that's something they would normally sell. Avomani tashmishe the akiri leha, but this is the kli tashmishe which are very dear to them, which they're not accustomed to selling. They're going to sell it for a higher price. He's not selling it. Not for a lot of money. So that's where Rashi got his shita from. That's where Rashi got his shita from. Says the Mishnah. Weiter in the union of Aina again. What does the pasuk say? It says lashon simcha is lashon mechira, koina is lashon of acquiring, and this is al toinu ish es achiv. A person should not go ahead and cheat his fellow man, undercharge or overcharge. Says the Mishnah. Whether it's lekeach, whether it's the person who goes ahead and buys it, or the person who sells it, there's a din of mat of aina. There's a din mat of aina. The shem sha'ina lehedit, just like there's a din of aina to a regular person. This is the Gemara we just quoted. Kach aina letager, so there's no letager for a merchant. It seems to be that it seems poshut that there's enough for a tager. If there's not enough for a tager, who is there enough for, right? Fellas, if a merchant is no din of enough, so who do we say it by? So the Gemara will explain. Rabbi Huda says, Ein oina l'tager. And we'll have to see what that means. Misha hotel love, we had this earlier, someone who was cheated. Yad el yain, he has the upper hand. Ratza oima loy tein li ma'usi. Now, the Chayr is speaking about a lekeach, because it means he gave money already, and he found he was cheated. So now, he could either say, give me my money, or give me my oina. Now, this is not the halacha, fellas. This is the continuation of that Mishnah. This Mishnah, again, I can't stress this enough. The Mishnah said by oina, it's either or. Either the deal is on, or return my oina. The Brisa says, the deal is on and you return the oina, but the deal is on. That's very important. This Mishnah that says either go ahead and give me back my money, meaning the deal is off, or give me back the oina, is the Mishnah, is our Mishnah, right? You got it? Now, when it says, it's important to see this Mishnah is speaking about a lekeach, not a meicher, because he's saying, give me my money. Obviously, he paid the money to the meicher and he's claiming his money back. So it's speaking about a lekeach. Okay? It's speaking about lekeach. Minoni mili, how do you know there's a din of lekeach and a din of what? A meicher? How do you know there's a no by both? It says, al tonu. You're selling someone, so al tonu, don't cheat him. So this is the oina for a lekeach. Then it says only if the lekeach was overcharged. I keep on saying the word cheat. I don't think it's really the right word. Overcharged. It could be you didn't do it intentionally, fellas. It could be you didn't do it intentionally. I guess so. I just use it because it's an easy word to say. Maybe not be the best word. The best word would be being overcharged. Okay. Cheat is mashma that you did it by maliciously. That doesn't have to be maliciously. Right. How do you know if the meicha was overcharged? How do you know if the meicha was overcharged? Talmud Leimer, it says, oikoina. Oikoina kisimku limchlam yisecha. Oikoina miyanim yisecha. What does koina mean? You acquired. So if you acquired, it says al tonu. If you acquired it al tonu, don't overcharge, meaning don't pay less. So you see, also it applies to the meicher. The pasuk is describing both the meicher, is the lekeach who's buying, and the kana, the meicher, and the lekeach is acquiring from the meicher, and it says al tonu on both, so the halacha of overcharging would apply to both. It says the Gemara, lekeach, it's the meicher, you need to tell me both. You know, because I'd say one, you wouldn't know the other. I'd say one, you wouldn't know the other. You know why there's a din of overcharging by the Meicher? Mishum the Kimle Bizvinase. He knows exactly what it's worth, and therefore he can be more exact. Avalakech, like Kimle Bizvinase, he doesn't know a Malay. I would say there's no din of. He doesn't. There's no din of overcharging. So Azarasi, like Azarachman, the Torah doesn't go ahead. In other words, it could be that Lekeach, since he doesn't know what it is, you can't hold him guilty for overcharging. He doesn't know what it's worth. He's not a businessman. He doesn't know what he's selling. So if he sells it for too much, maybe there's no din of Aina because he doesn't know. So Azri Rachmana, so I would say what? Like the Torah doesn't warn you, but because Rachmana like Keach Mishum de Kokoni. Like Keach is gaining. He's acquiring something. The army inish, so Nisa Kanisa. They say a person, he bought something, he acquired something. Again, this is going along the lines that it's good to have something of value in your hands rather than the money which is fleeting. But the moicher is taking a loss by selling it. People say Zavin Ovid, someone who sells something, it's lost. I'd say maybe there's no din of Aina. Now this last din kind of makes no sense, fellas, if you think about it. A moicher's job is to sell things. He's not, in other words, what are you saying? A moicher who sells something, you're going to tell me that it's, what does that mean? That he, Nebuch, there's no din of Aina by him. Why? Because Nebuch, he had to sell something. Since he had to sell something, the Torah will cut him some slack and make a few bucks, right? But that's his business. What do you mean? He's not attached to the object. It's a shaka kasha. I have written on the side of my Gemara, I am Taisus a rush. So you know what I'm going to do? Hiksha arrived. Al kochach kroa lav b'mane de balabayas iri. Da ein lo oina ela b'tager iri. It can't be speaking about a balabayas because we said a balabayas there's no din of oina. So it must be speaking about a merchant. And now you want to say a merchant, he's masbin v'lei movid. He of course he loses something. You know, that's what he does. So what do you mean that you would think there's no oina by a person who sells? Because he's losing an object? So Ve'ikal Ameima says the Taisus Arash, Balabayas Shemacha al Yedei Sirsur. He's selling through a wholesaler. Can appreciate the L. In other words, I guess it's not his business to sell. In other words, let's say you want to sell something and you're hiring a broker to sell it for you, correct? So you are feeling a loss. If it's the tiger himself, of course he's not taking a loss. That's his business. So the Taisus Arash answers this difficult question of the Ravid. He answers by speaking about a wholesaler. So you are feeling a sense of a loss, and you are selling something, but you're selling it through a wholesaler. Very good. Okay. Says the Gemara Vaita. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ein oino l'tager. Rabbi Yehuda said, Rabbi Yehuda was of the opinion that there is no oina by a tager, which is kind of a very hard sentence to say. What do you mean? Says Gemara, Mishum de Shu Tager Ein Le'ena. What's the reason? In other words, the Rabbi, if anything, the whole din of Eina should be by a Tager. As we just said, fellas, a Balabayas, there is no Eina. A Balabayas, there's no Eina at all. So of course there's Eina by a Tager. Like Rabbi Yehuda, if there's no Eina by a Tager, who is there Eina by? There's no Eina by Balabayas, because why? Because it's very dear to him and he's not selling it in the first place unless for a lot of money. That's what the Gemara said. You're telling me now, Rabbi Yehuda, there's no Oina by a tiger, by a merchant. So who in the world is there is Oina by, like Rabbi Yehuda? Rav Nachman, Amarav, b'tiger safsa shana. This is very geschmack. This is the teretz we just gave, right? That was speaking about a wholesaler, a guy, he's a day trader, back and forth. Things go through his hands all the time. He has no attachment to anything whatsoever. For my time, why is there no din of Oina by him? How come there's no din of Oina? Says the Gemara, made the Yoda Zvinte Kamashava, right? This tiger knows how much things are worth. That's his business. And now he's selling to you for less. And to sell it for less, in other words, when you're going to say Eino no tiger, guys, what does that mean? Guys, look at me. Eino no tiger means that if he undercharges, there's no Ainah. It doesn't mean there's no din of him cheating somebody else, like for add more money. We're speaking about where he's taking the loss. So Ein Ainah L'Tager, meaning there's no din of a Tager taking a loss, meaning and the deal is done. Right? Let's put the words what it means. Ein Ainah L'Tager, the din of Ainah that going back on the deal does not exist. The deal is done. Fred the Gemara, why is there no din of Ein Ainah L'Tager? Why? Excuse me. Siri just said Gesundheit. Siri just said, she just said Gesundheit. I can't believe this. Anyway, says the Rav Nachman, Rav, betager safsa shanim. Speaking about a tager who goes through hands quickly. Well, my time, made the yard, he knows the price. Zvinte kamashavya. Why is he selling it for less? Because he's Michael. So why do you sell it for less? Because he has a cash flow problem. He has another possibility of buying something else. So what does he need? He needs cash. So be willing to sell this for less in order to get the cash for the next transaction. So very geschmack. There's no din of Ainah and therefore the deal stays on. And now he has karata. He wants to go back in the deal. We don't let him go back in the deal. So that's pshat and Ainah Tager according to Rav Nachman. Again, Rav Nachman says in the name of Rav, when the explanation of Yehuda in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda says Ainah Tager, you know what it means? It means a Tager Sarso, who's a day trader, quickly, he knows the price of something. If he sells something, he knows exactly what it's worth. If he undersells it, it's for a reason, and now he wants to go back, forget about it. Rav Ashi says another pshat in Ainah Tager. Rav Ashi Yama, my Ainah Tager Ainah, what does that mean? She'ena b'toyres Ainah. He's not like everybody else. Shafilu pachas mechadei Ainah, right? That even if it's less than the share of Ainah, the deal, which usually what, right? Usually we say less than the share of Ainah, the deal is on. Right, guys? Again, this is level A, B, C. What's level A? Less than Ainah, they're Michael. Good. Says Rav Ashi, the Tager is not Michael. He needs every penny he can get. When do we say Ainah? It's not a Tager. The din of pachas mishtus does not apply to a Tager. Rav Ashi Yomar, my ein l'tager Ainah, when it says ein l'tager Ainah, you know what it means? She'ena b'toyres Ainah. He's not the same as everyone else. Everyone else, when it's less than a 6, he's Michael. The Tager, when it's less than a 6, is not Michael. Because again, he has to make every penny he can get. So we have two pshatim. We have Rav Nachman's pshat that there's no Ainah, meaning he can't go back on the deal. And the other one that Rav Ashi is being very makel and saying that even less than that, the deal there's no mechil, he's not being Michael, and he can claim the difference. Tani Kavasi direct Rav Nachman, it writes Rav Nachman that he can't go back on the deal, right? Even it's the share of Ainah. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Tager in lo Ainah mifnei shehu baki. A Tager is no Ainah because he's a baki, and he's a baki. He's an expert in price, guys. Since he's an expert in price, he knows exactly what he's selling. Why did he sell it for less? Because he needed the money, and therefore we have a raya to Ein Lei Tager. So two pshatim. Rav Nachman Ein Lei Tager that there's no going back in the deal, or Ein Lei according to Rav Ashi, the din of pachas mishtus does not apply to a Tager, and the deal with he's not being meichlet. You would have to return that difference because he needs every penny he can get. We said, okay, let's now do two things. Let's go back to yesterday's brisa and today's mishnah. Yesterday's brisa, Amid Beis. Tanya Kavase the Rava, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines up, 11 lines up on Nun Amid Beis. Again, why did Rava say, fellas? The shear of Ainah, it's kaina, and you would go ahead and you would get back to Ainah. Not like our Mishnah that says this deal is bottle. The deal is mekuyim. The deal is done, and you get back to oina. Hani kavasei derava. Oina pachas mishtus. If the oina is less than a shtus, nikne. Mechila, the din is done. Mekach yeser al shtus. If it's more than a sixth, batul mekach. Mekach tois, it's done. Shtus, kana. There's the difference in that in the Mishnah. Kana, you acquire it. Umachser. Oina, and you return the oina. Divrei Reb Nasin, these are the words of Reb Nasin. Reb Yehuda Nasi Yomer, Yad Moicher Alel Yoina. The Yad of the Moicher has the upper hand. Roitza Oimele Tainli Mechi. He says, you want, give me my Mekach, Tainli Mashanisi, or give me the Ainisi. The Zebedek, Bechteshi Yeroa, Lataga, or Lekreifa. So we have Machlokes by Kedei, the Shir of Aina, like Reb Nasin, the deal is on. Like Reb Yehuda, the deal could be Mevatel, either or. Okay? That's the Brisa. Now, who's the Brisa speaking about? Brisa is speaking about Lechor, it's speaking about the Moicher. The Brisa, it says what? Yad Moicher al Yoina, the hands of the Moicher is on the upper hand, correct? Let's go to our Mishnah. The last in the Mishnah, right? Misha Hutel love, whoever was cheated, whoever was undercharged or overcharged, Yodei al Yoina, he has the upper hand. Ratza Omerloi Tainli Ma'usi. If he wants, he can say, give me my ma'os. That means obviously it's speaking about a lekeach, because he's saying, give me my money, meaning I gave you money. So it must be speaking about the lekeach. Oitainli mashanesi, or give me what? My oina. Meaning the deal is what? Is either bottle or not. So we got a problem between the Brisa and the Mishnah. Let's see the Gemara inside. Money masnisan. Who's the Tan of our Mishnah? Lo Reb Nasin v'lo Reb Yehuda Nasi. It's neither Reb Nasin or not Reb Yehuda Nasi. Reb Nasin, if it's Reb Nasin, Maslisan Katani Ratza, if you want, you can go back on the deal. According to Reb Nasin, guys, Kana, the deal is consummated. So it can't be Reb Nasin. Our Mishnah's mashma, if you want, if it's the shir of Aina, you can go back on the deal. The Brisa before said no. Brisa said you can't go back in the deal according to Reb Nasin. Well, Brisa like a Tani Ratza. Reb Yehuda Nasi, so maybe it's Reb Yehuda Nasi, who's right. Masnisan Katani Loikeach. Our Mishnah was speaking about a Loikeach because it said Mausi, and Brisa Katani Meicher. And the Brisa was speaking about a Meicher. So again, outside we have two problems. The Brisa was speaking about the shir of Aina, the deal is done. Our Mishnah says you have an option. Rabbi Yehuda, that's Reb Nasin, so he can't be the Tan of our Mishnah because Reb Nasin did not give you an option to avoid the deal. According to the Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, we were speaking about a moicher going back on the deal, meaning Ratza. According to the Mishnah, it was going on the lekeach. So our Mishnah is neither Reb Nasin of the Brisa or Reb Yehuda Nasi of the Brisa. That's the problem. Moicher, so it says more Simin Zav Reish. Okay, this one I'll give you guys. The Zion's for Rebbe Laza, the base is Rabba, the Reish is Rava, and the Shin is Ravashi. So we're going to have four statements how to answer up our Mishnah. Again, that our Mishnah should be either according to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi or according to Rabbi or Reb Nasin or neither. Okay, Amar Rabbi Laza says the Tana the Amoira Rebbe Elazar. This is the Amoira Hadas. Yes, Hesh.
Just a general question. When we say the Mishnah said who has the upper hand, when we say he has to give back the sixth, the Mocha would have to give back six, is that negotiable, a piece of that? In other words, unless he gives him right under the sixth, does he have the right, or he has to give him the whole sixth? Is that piece between the fifth and the sixth?
No, the question
is that negotiable at all?
No, absolutely not. The question is, what is the din? The din is if once you reach exactly a sixth, it's non-negotiable. You have to keep again, according to our Mishnah, either give me back the object or keep the object and give me back the Aina. According to the Brisa, keep the object and give me back the Aina. It's not, you're speaking of payment. The sixth is not a payment, Hesh. The sixth is ascertaining what exactly is the din. Less than a sixth, there's nothing to talk about. More than a sixth, there's nothing to talk about. We know less than a sixth, it's mechila, the deal goes through. more than a sixth, the deal is finished. So it's really going ahead and giving us a framework of what the halacha is. You're already describing payment. That's your payment doesn't make it less than a sixth. It means you paid less than a sixth.
Okay.
It doesn't. Your payment made it less, but it doesn't change the halacha.
Right. Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
Rabbi Laza, Ainazu Eini Yedeya Mishana. This mission of Aina Tak, I don't know. So the Zion in the Zavrash agrees. I don't know. It's not Rabbi Yehuda Nasi because he says it's speaking about the Moicher. It's not Rabbi Nassim because he says the deal's done. Rabbi Amal Oilam Rabbi Nassim. It's Rabbi Nassim, so we got a problem, right? Our Mishnah says that the deal is you have a choice, and this says not. V'tani nami bebraysa ratza. Change the braysa. Said the braysa says also ratza. In other words, according to Rabbah, there is no din of a sixth, you're being kaina. The sixth is also subject to either give me that or give me that, meaning the same halacha, the braysa and the Mishnah. That's Rabbah. That's the base. Rava Amar, L'oilam Rabbi Yehuda Hanasihi, Umay Deshai b'masnisan. That we left out of the Mishnah because the braysa was speaking right. The Mishnah was speaking about lokeach. Kamafarish b'braysa. Very nice pshat. What was your problem? Rabbi Yehuda Nasi is describing the Moicher, and the Mishnah is describing Lokeach. Our Mishnah described Lokeach, and the Brisa filled in the blanks. That the din of Aino is not limited to the being overcharged Lokeach. It's even being undercharged the Moicher. So we're filling in the blanks. That would go ahead and synthesize the two. That's the Reish. And finally, Ravashi, taken Nami would be Medayik like Rava. The Tani. The guys, what is the look at our Mishnah starts? So we know this is a din of Aina by the Meicher. And then and we explained the Lekeach. But why? Why are you limiting it to the Lekeach, fellas? The first clause said it applies by both. Why do you only explain Tein Limausi by Lekeach? Because you had a brisa that explained what? The Meicher. Shmamina, Shiuri Shiara, you left out the Meicher and the Bryce the Meicher. Shmamina, you have a very good teretz to the Kasha. Again, the Kasha being who's the title of my Mishnah? Loit Rebbe Laza, neither. Loit Rabbah, the Mishnah is according to Reb Nassin and changed the Girsa in the Brisa. According to Rabbah, the Mishnah is Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. The Mishnah is according to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. And whatever we left out in the Brisa, the Meicher, we went ahead in the Mishnah with that said Lekeach, we filled in the Brisa. Itmar. Oh, fellas says now look like this. This is a very geschmack Gemara. Mastal Mashakasa B'Torah is the Tanoi's Batul Maisakayim. If a person makes a condition that goes against the Torah, so we just do away the condition, and whatever the person wanted to do would work. So, for example, we know a man is mechuyev in three things to his wife. Sher ksus v'oina. He has to give her food, clothing, and he has to have visitation, physical relations with her. It's called oina. So if a man is mekadesh nisha al manas, that you don't have sher ksus v'oina, says Reb Meir, masna mashakasa b'Torah, he has to give her all three, and he's married to her. We don't say that since the condition was batal, the ma'isa of kedushin's batal. We say Maisa Kayim and the Tanai Batal Maisa Kayim. And okay, that's if you hold Masna Mashkas B'Torah. Now, there is a tzad that what the Torah requires you is a monetary thing, a person could be Michael on a monetary thing. So a woman could be Michael on her clothing, she could be Michael on food, she can't be Michael on physical pain or of lack of pleasure. She can't be Michael on that. So here's the Gemara. Itman. Someone says to his friend, this is yours. This is a sale on the condition that you do not have upon me oina. Is this mashna mashakasa b'Torah or not? Are you saying there's no thing such as oina? Or are you saying it's a dinei mamanis and therefore you can be Michael? If this sounds familiar, guys, it's a Masech Namakis. Rav Amar, yesh le'alav oina. Says Rav that there is a din of Aina. So Pashut you'd say that Tanoi Batul my Sakayim. Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel's of the opinion, Ein Lo Yalavana, that in fact the Tanai is Kayim. Lema Rav Damak Reb Meya, let's say Rav holds like Reb Meya, Shmuel Damak Reb Yehuda, the Tanya. Ha'imel Isha, Hariyam Mekudeshes Li, Amanash Ein Lecha Olai Shek Susloina. You're Mekudeshes to me on the condition that I don't have to fill the three requirements. Haizum Mekudeshes Tanai Batul Div Reb Meya. So very good. So you went ahead, you were Masla Mashakasa B'Torah, we do away with your Tanai, and your Mekudeshes. Says Rav over here the same thing. You were Masla Mashakasa B'Torah saying there's no din of Aina. Guess what? There is a din of Aina. Just like there's a din of Sheksus Aina. So L'chayra Rav Paskins like what? Like Reb Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer, B'Davashe B'Mamin, when it comes to monetary matters, Tanoi Kayim, the Tanoi will be fulfilled. So, according to this, you'll be Mekudeshes, and you would not have to give kshus, share, you would not have to give ksus, but Oina you would. Now Oina, don't get mixed up with Oina with an ayin and Oina, right? That over here, it's simply a monetary thing, Ein Lo Yavana. So just like Rabbi Yehuda says vis-a-vis the woman, that the monetary part you can be Michael, that you can do away with. Who are then over here? The monetary part you could do away with. So Rav would hold like Reb Meir, and Pashta Shmuel would hold like Reb Yehuda. Amalach Rav, Anodam Yafil Reb Yehuda. I who hold over here that there is a din of Aina, would agree with Reb Yehuda that Sher V'Ksus is gone. I'd come like Reb Yehuda Asam Ella the Yada, she knows that the guy doesn't want to pay for her food and her clothing. The Kamachla, and nonetheless she wants to get married, so she was Michael. Aval Hacha, over here, and by the case of Aina, Mi Yada Demachel, is there any Aina over here that to be Michael? He holds there is no Aina. This is yours on the condition there's no Aina. He thinks there's no Aina. There is Aina. Therefore, there's nothing to be Michael. In other words, you're missing your idea over here. But Rabbi Yehuda would agree over here. Since you don't know that there will be Aina, there's no Mechila, and maybe there would be a din of Aina. So Rabbi Yehuda would agree with me by Aina, even though what? She's Michael by Kedushin. Ushmul Amar, Shmuel says, Anadam Yafil Reb Meir. Shmuel says over here that the Tanai is Kayim, says by he could agree with by Kedushin that there is Aina and there is Shevik Sus. Ad kan lekam Reb Meir Hasan Ella, the Vade Ka'akar. Vade over there, you're being Aikar. If you tell a woman, I'm not feeding you, I'm not giving you dress, I'm not going to live with you, Vade is being Aikar. If you're Vade Aikar, it's Masna Mashkas B'Torah. How do you know over here that there's going to be Aikar anything? Okay, what does that mean? Amar Rav Anan, the words of Shmuel explain to me that the guy says to his friend, this is a business transaction on the condition that you don't have upon me the halachas of Aina, ein lo yalav Aina. Amnashe ein bo Aina, and menas that there is not Aina, har yesh bo Aina. Guys, outside, a nuance in language. This is yours, and menas that you do not have upon me Aina. What are you saying? It could be Aina. It could not be Aina. Whatever is, Ein Lo alive, you have no cheshbon on me. Almanash she'ein boy Aina, you're saying this deal goes through Almanash that there is no Aina, and then there is Aina. That's batul mekach. That your words are not true. Ein Lo lavala means there could be, cannot be, but if there is or there's not, there's no cheshbon on me. She'ein boy, no, I'm saying in that chaypitz there is no Aina, and it turns out there is. So that's what it means over here. Shmuel says, over there, vada you being oika davashevet Torah. You're saying to the Isha, you're not having dot darant. Over here, you don't know what's going to be. Yeah, maybe not. So therefore, Rav can come out like Reb Meir, Rav can come out like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda would agree, over there's no raya, there's going to be Michael. Over here, vada, she's Michael. Over there, not. Over here, Shmuel could agree with Reb Meir. By Reb Meir, vada, you're doing something wrong. Over here, who's to say you're doing something wrong? Mesiveh. Okay. Now, let's say a person is working be'amana. Now, if you have an object that's easy to sell, you don't need a broker. If you're selling a house now in Toms River in Jackson, you don't need a broker. People are buying that like nothing. You're trying to sell a house in Brooklyn, trust me, you need a broker. In other words, if something's hot to sell, you don't need a broker for it. Where do you need a broker? You need a broker is when it's hard to sell. Amana is you're selling on trust. The trust is that this guy's going to get you the best possible price. That you're hiring a broker, and this broker is going to go ahead and get you. He's going to get you the best possible price. What will he pay him for? He'll pay him for his tircha, for working. You're going to pay him X amount for working. Okay? So look at Rashi. Sell it for wherever you can. And give me the money, Lizman Ploini, for Bineni Samach Olav, I'm Samach on you. And I'll give you the schar for what you did. So that's called ba'amana. So in other words, the amana over here, the belief is over here, you're going to get the best price, and you're paying him for his tircha. You're paying us for tircha. So now, a person goes ahead, and he says, he's being nicer and nicer ba'amana. And this condition, that you're not going to go ahead and sell it more than what its value of Eina. L'Rav the Amalach, I know the Amri, right? I feel Rabbi Yehuda her money. So says the Gemara. So nice and nice money. Guy is going ahead, right? And he's working by Amana. And he says, I'm not saying the Now Rav said what? Yesh the Rav the Amri I feel Rabbi Yehuda her money. According, who is he going according to? Rav said, Rabbi Yehuda said, the reason why over there is because you know about it in your Michael. But over here, who's to say your Michael, fellas? You don't know what's coming in. Again, what did Rav say? We said that Rav held like Rav Meir. If you're Mekadosh and Isa al Manas that you don't have A, B, and C, then the Kedushin works and you have A, B, and C. And therefore Rav says, if you make a business transaction on the condition that there's no Aina, there is Aina. So we wanted to say also like Reb Meir. Then we wanted to say, no, Rav said Rabbi Yehuda would agree over there. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda would say, only by the Isha, she's Michael. But where you don't know, you're not Michael. 1 second, over here, do you know? You don't know. And nonetheless, what's the halacha? There's no din of Aina. So what? So you see a kasha and Rav. So one more time. You don't have Aina. Who is this? Who is it? Says the Gemara. Rav Taka only holds like Reb Meir that what Masna Mashakas B'Torah, and not the svara to make a chilik with him when you know about something in your Michael versus that you don't know. Shmuel Damak Reb Yehuda. Now this voice, guys, you're not. This is said Agav. Shmuel could still hold like Reb Meir. We're only slugging up Rav. Shmuel can take a hold like Reb Meir. Shmuel can take a hold like Reb Meir. We're only slugging up Rav. Okay? Rav, again, the last thing that an Amorah wants to do is to be arguing on a Tana. So you wanted to say that Rav argues on Rabbi Yehuda. We said, no, Rav doesn't argue Rabbi Yehuda, and we can make a distinction between where the woman knows and where I know where you don't know. Where the woman knows she's Michael, where I know you're not Michael. Over here, you see that you see that you don't know, and still it works. That the condition that the guy made works. So therefore, Rav al Korcha cannot come out like Rabbi Yehuda, but Shmuel Einachinami could be like Rabbi Meir. He could say that by Aina, right? But what was the svara of Rabbi Meir? There's no guarantee. He said there's no Aina. There's no guarantee there's going to be Aina. Mashenkin Sheksuv Aina, where there is guarantee that you're taking something vadai and you be oiking vadai, Shmuel will be moida. So these words, Shmuel the Amak Reb Yehuda is lav dafka. Okay. Rava Amar loy kasha. Says Rava, this kasha you have on Rav is not a shver. I can go ahead and escape. Oh, how are you escaping? Again, what's the kasha? Rav said if you make a business transaction, you say in of Allah there is Aina, and yet by the Amana there is no Aina. Kam Rav he says Yesh lo Aina is speaking bestam. He said, Al menas she'en l'cha elai ina. He says there is no ina. Kan the brisa where he says if you oyster ma'amana is mufarish. So he's saying openly, and he says, I know that this is ina in the smekach umemcha, and I'm selling it to you. Al menas she'en l'cha ina. So where you know for sure, then Rav would agree. Where you don't know, that's where Rav would say what? Stam. If you say stam, this is no ina. Tanya, when we're speaking that you have a na, dafka b'stam. If you mecha stam, avol mefarish. If the moicha said to lekeach, I'm selling you this chayfetz for $200. I know it's only worth $100. And almanas shein l'chol no, almanas that you're not going to go ahead and say the deal is off. Shein lo no, the halacha is ein lo. So why? Because he's mefarish. It was 200 for 100. The chayfetz that I'm buying for 100, I know it's worth 200. In that case, so Rav would agree. In other words, the way to answer up one place and one place the other is you don't know. Where you know, right? Where you know for sure, Rav would agree. Okay, a little digression. Since we were discussing working with Amana, we're going to go ahead and get a little introduction to Ezu Neshech. Here's the deal. Guy sells, he gives to a broker something to sell. He's giving him two things. One thing that's very easy to sell, and other thing that is hard to sell. He says, listen, you sell the stuff that's easy to sell, you keep the money, and when you sell the stuff that's hard to sell, you can give me back the money. During this period of time, that money that he has is a halva. He could do anything he wants with that money. He's getting that usage of that money for waiting that time span. That is the Rabbanan Dekaribis, right? The usage that he's getting, because he's going to pay him for his tircha. He's not paying him for the sale, right? So the money that he said you can keep it and use, that's halva for waiting to get his wages later on. Says the Gemara. Tan Rabbanan. In other words, you shouldn't go ahead you don't go ahead and say whatever I'll give you. You're selling the good items for $200. Sell it for $200, and when you sell the shvachazak that's hard to sell, you'll give me back the $200 along with that money. You don't allow that. Ela oizev is, because again it's a ribistic problem. Ela oizev is either ba'amana. That in other words, I'll pay you the schar of your tircha for a set price. Oizev is b'shava, that it gives him what. At the same time, he'll give him what his schar for his tircha. He'll give him the schar for his tircha, and whenever he sells it, he'll give him the money. But he's going to give him schar for his tircha. Says the brisa v'noisin la, and the schar katef. The broker, in addition to his tircha, you give him what schar katef for the shlepa. He had to hire a shlepa. Schar gomel, or he had to hire a camel. Schar pundik, or storage, where he stayed. I guess where you have to pay for his lodging. Schar atzmoi ain't a noitel, but the schar that he doesn't take. Shekfar nasnoi schar mushlam. When he gave him the schar ba'amana, he already gave him money for that. Schar mushlam ehecha kayavle. Where does he get it from? Where does he pay the schar of his tircha? Amra papa bitzar rude. We had this earlier. This is that canvas clothing. The Yav Arba Lameya. If he could sell this canvas clothing for 100, he would get 4 out of the 100, right? He would get 4 out of the 100. That would be his schar. I wish everyone a good Shabbos.